Riley, you doing anything exciting this morning?
Yeah, I just trying to emerge from what I'm calling the great swamp of 2026, which is just the wild amount of rainfall we've gotten.
And it is so humid in the shop that the concrete floors are just drenched. With condensation.
My grandpa gets really excited about air conditioning units, and so we're talking about like a new space we need for air conditioning to keep our seed air conditioned instead of just the trailers we've been using, and which is a problem that we have because you guys who listen and order seed, and we need more space to store the seed. So we were talking about that this morning, and he was like, honestly, you probably need more air conditioning capacity for humidity than you do for actually keeping it cool. And I was like, man, that's like a wild thing to think about. But little tidbit for anyone storing seed, it's actually more important that it stays not humid than it stays cool. That's important that it stays cool. But if I had to pick one or the other, I'm picking not humid, dry.
Yeah. And amidst all of this fun humidity, I spoke with Kent yesterday, and Kent was talking about going turkey hunting. And
I just pulled a. Is that a tick? No, it's not a tick. Was it? No, it was definitely a bug. It was crawling on my throat, but I'm wondering if I have ticks on me right now. I was turkey hunting this morning. Beautiful. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better day of being in the woods. The tons of Virginia bluebells in full bloom. Yeah. Dutchman's breeches, spring beauties, trout lilies.
You pick. Well, no, I guess none of them would be in seed, given seed.
Yeah. I've never seen so many bluebells though. Yeah. It was just incredible.
Mahaska County?
I'm not saying what county.
You don't even want to say what county?
No.
Man, you hunters are wild. But Riley had an ordeal this morning.
Yeah, I was gonna say, did you see any turkeys?
I did. Okay. We called one in, and it hung up at about 50 yards, which is on the edge of shooting. And one of the guys with me was regretting that we didn't take a shot.
Yeah.
When you take a shot, and is it like deer hunting where that's it? Like that's it for the evening or morning or whatever?
No, not necessarily, because you can move and get on more birds. So we didn't take the shot. And I don't know. I still hold to, I'm glad that I didn't. And he still thinks I wish you would have. Cause it's just kind of on the edge of like your pellets start spreading out so much. They lose a lot of energy. Now if you use like expensive rounds, like TSS, then, which is tungsten, plated pellets, those go a little bit longer range and you can. I heard one of the guys hunting with us today said that he has a friend that he watched shoot a bird at 80 yards,
crazy,
with some TSS. But
you know what you are?
I didn't shoot.
You didn't shoot?
Didn't shoot, and we tried to pursue that bird some more. Like we got up and moved, and he disappeared. So we were hearing gobbles from a couple other birds, so we went after them. And my friend Caleb and I tried to double up, and we both missed. It was right about 50 yards. So it was so much fun, though. I mean, we were literally belly crawling through, the timber, trying to get in a position for those two other birds to bushwhack them, and just seeing the woods come alive. There's so much multiflora rose and so much bush honeysuckle. It's about the only thing leafing out. But from a woody vegetation standpoint, but
yeah, it's real obvious right now.
Yeah,
really obvious.
But it was a ton of fun.
Well, I had to ask because I was walking out of the office this morning, and this is the first time this has ever happened. I took it as a premonition because you went turkey hunting. I walked out of the office to head towards the shop, and I spooked up a turkey out of the big blue stem.
Really?
Yeah. 20 yards. 20 yards. Turkey got up, looked at me, and flew off.
That is wild.
I had to do like a triple take because at first I heard flapping, and I thought, okay, well, maybe that's a pheasant. I've seen roosters back there. Nope. She's a full-blown turkey.
Was it a tom?
I don't know. I just saw it. I saw its back as it was flying away.
Well, the spot where we're burning today, I may everything goes well, I may show up there tomorrow morning with a shotgun, because a turkey over a fresh burn is a match made in heaven.
It went about that direction when it flushed. So I would not be surprised if tomorrow morning
there's a good chance. There's a good chance by the time you're listening to this, that turkey's dead.
Yeah, we'll see.
Man, but you know what
I thought my season was over. I thought I was getting one hunt.
You're a 9-year-old kid who goes to NBA basketball games for the hot dogs. Because you go out to hunt and you're just like, man, this place, being out here is so cool. And all your hunting buddies are like, we're trying to kill this turkey right now. You're like, yeah, but look at those bluebills, just like talking out loud.
I am that way. That's cool. The being able to fill the tag is just the, if like when it comes to deer hunting, I'm pretty serious with that, because that's what we eat at my house. Mm-hmm. And so I have people depending on that working out. But and the older I get, the more it is about the experience and who you're sharing it with, and the setting that you're in, and how you can learn more about that ecosystem and enjoy it.
The older you get, it is. And that's why you're so into it right now.
Well, imagine, since I'm so young, once I am old, how much I'll be enjoying it,
Oh, man. That's fine. We should jump in. We got a big one today. I did some homework.
Oh, boy.
Coffee Time Wednesdays with the Prairie Farm Podcast.
Can't hit us with the jingle.
Do-do-do-do-do.
A lot of companies talk about conservation, but I want to tell you about a company that actually puts their money where their mouth is. birdhuntersupply.com is a great company. I know the owner, Joe. He's a great dude. We've had the privilege of working with him, and let's just say he really puts his money where his mouth is. A large percentage of his profits from Bird Hunter Supply go to a conservation organization of your choice at checkout. So your purchase actually puts money towards conservation, and it's not just a roundup. It's not just asking you to donate on top of your purchase. This is included with your purchase. This man is running his very own small business version of Pittman Robertson, except without all the government stuff. I'm a big fan of that. So whether you're buying hunting apparel, decoys, dog training gear, you are actually going to be giving back to conservation. That is my friend Joe at birdhuntersupply.com. We love that company. We love what they have going on. Oh, and they do a really great job with their website. Makes it very easy. birdhuntersupply.com. Welcome back to the Prairie Farm Podcast, Coffee Time Wednesday. I'm your favorite host, Nicholas Lirio. Favorite co-host, Ken Boucher.
Hey.
Favorite co-host to the coast, Riley Rosendahl.
Howdy.
I kind of hate that Judd isn't here every week. I kind of hate that,
If you're the boss, just make him show up for the pod.
Every Wednesday for an hour and 10 minutes.
Totally worth the drive.
Yeah. Oh, man. I bet he would love that. He'd be like, look, if you pay for me to drive there, I'll be there every week. He loves a good drive.
Especially if there was like a couple of antique stores or what are those sales called? Estate sales, on the way.
Oh, man. Yeah, just frothing at the mouth. Dude.
Can you imagine when Judd's retired? He's gonna have one of those trucks that's got cans and bottles piled up to just below the window level, and he's gonna fall out of his truck and hit every estate sale, every auction, every antique store.
Somebody's got to do it.
Yeah, every flea market.
He's like the local millionaire that still wears their teenage high school T-shirts. Yeah, you know what I mean. They
cut off jean shorts that are real short, that are questionably short.
You're painting a mental picture. I don't know if I want to ponder here.
Zero desire to impress anybody at any point.
It's suspenders with the jorts.
Oh man, that's why we love him. He owes nothing to nobody, and he doesn't need to impress anybody.
That's right.
He's just
we love
himself.
You, Judd.
So I didn't even talk to you about what I was talking about today, but I spent almost 2 hours looking at this.
Well, hang on. Is this a negative thing? Is it is it a Debbie Downer topic?
No, it's heavy speculation.
But I mean, yeah, but is the topic is the speculation hey, there's an asteroid heading for Earth, or is it
No, I think I actually actively tried to be more positive with this one.
Yeah, because I was thinking, there's just so much, us included, with like, doom and gloom, and and the sad thing about the human condition is that's what gets you likes, follows, and subscriptions, probably. But
controversy.
I wanted to say one positive thing before we kick this off. I drove from my house to the Quad City area on Friday night, and turns out we should have been burning everything that ever needed to be burned, because there was so many prairie burns going on between in that 2.5 hour drive. I mean, I think if I said 30, I would. If somebody set the over under at 30, I'd take the over.
Wow.
I mean, it was wild to see and encouraging to see, and how many places had already been burned on the way there. Just, I know we're still dialing in when is the right time to burn things, and so hopefully society will adjust with that too. But just the encouragement of, I just don't remember seeing that when I was a kid, and CRP was already in effect then, and I'm sure it was a mandated practice back then, but I don't know how much it was enforced, and I definitely don't remember seeing much of it done. And so I think things are getting better in that regard, and people want to be active participants in their land, which, man, if you could get every landowner to care that much about their land, Iowa's landscape will be better for the next generation. And so I just want to start with that super positive feeling. I was very excited about to see all that burning going on.
Yeah, that's awesome. Judd and I mean, just think about, we're products of past people making past decisions, and based on those intelligent people, Judd and I were putting a mix together for some CRP. It was like 58 species or something like that. My dad's first CRP contract he planned for someone was brown-headed bush clover and big blue stem. and he was the weird guy, the conservation nut at the time, right? That's how, that was the extent of conservation for the weirdest people in, 1989.
Right.
And, now most people are really cool with the idea of more diversity. So I agree with you. I think a lot of ups and downs on the graph, but in terms of the understanding in Iowa of what's needed for prairie landscape and how that affects water and other habitat and other things like that, I say we're on a big old upswing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Man, Kent the positive voucher. I'm a big fan. Well,
you let me go turkey hunting. I'm nothing but smiles the rest of the day.
Oh man, I
remember that when the controlled burn goes really well today. Nothing but smiles.
I'm gonna be looking for sheds the whole time.
I guess so. That's true.
Dude, you're going to come back, pants totally burned off, smiling as big as you could because you found a tiny 2-point. How do you feel? You're so excited.
Come back in his short shorts with a 2-point. Custom burned short shorts.
I think it wasn't last year. I think it was 2024. It was, Dad really wasn't feeling good. You were taking way more of the brunt of harvest that year. And then you went out and sat in a deer stand for one day and came back and you were like night and day different. I mean, the personality, everything. He was just like, I needed that so bad.
Yeah, it changes you. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Man, well, I asked the question and attempted to do the best speculation and research I could with over 40 different sources. I literally spent a little over 2 hours just reading articles and doing quick math. And then I plugged a bunch of that into Claude and said, what do you think? And so that's what I came here. I asked the question, what if the Corn Belt, the Midwest that does mostly corn and soybeans, what if we took 10% of our current production and put it into CRP and to some sort of set-aside program? I included CSP and some of those things, but then I ended up transferring it all to CRP acres. The reason being is because CRP is truly set aside. CSP and EQIP and some of those are considered working landscapes. And I think they're amazing. There's nothing wrong with those. But I wanted to say, what if we actually just set these acres aside and said, these are going to sit here? And there's a lot of things that come into play. One, I want to take a quick little history lesson we have the set-aside acres. We've talked about that. That kind of started off CRP. Set-aside acres were required to have certain benefits. Then Dr. Larry Weber came onto our podcast and said if he could change one thing, he would say you can't get subsidies for your farm unless you have set-aside acres, which I think, the more I think about it, that's a clever idea.
Yeah.
And the reason being is if you want the government to help you sell your product for a higher price, I'm not against that. Then you need to follow government or quote unquote people restrictions. I'm all for you doing what you want on your land when you want to. But then you have to take the lows with that, which is low markets or low, finding a market for things is very difficult to do. And everyone here, separate from Hoxie, we've all had our own business and tried to find a market for something we were trying to sell. And we know firsthand it is a difficult thing. So then along in the 1996 came the big Freedom to Farm Act. You guys are probably familiar with that. Well, almost immediately, everything got ripped up that was left.
Wait, Freedom to Farm Act? I'm not familiar with that. Explain.
It basically was a big thing. The biggest thing was that it took away the set-aside acre requirement and it took away or lessened a lot of the safety nets that farmers had. Well, especially for their commodity crops. Well, within a few years, by some in 1998, but by 1999, the market crashed. And in 2002, Congress came back swinging with, it was just the Farm Bill of 2002. And they introduced counter-cyclical payments, which is basically the subsidies, the welfare checks, right? That if prices go below a certain price compared to your neighbors, or your bushel count is too low, you get a check for it, right? That's when that was introduced and became such a large thing, and as well as the vast majority of the insurance premiums for farmers is now paid for. So that was kind of what happened with the set-aside acres. And when they brought it back in 2002, when they brought back these safety nets, they didn't bring back set-aside acres, the 10%. And so there was market distortion without the regulation on it. And again, I understand people have their land. They don't want the government to tell them what to do on it. I totally understand. I just don't think we also can turn around and then tell the government, but I need you to sell my product for me, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of, you can't have your cake and eat it too. So today, if we were to pull out 10% of the corn and bean acres, and I tried to break it down to a county level, on average across, it's mostly Illinois, Iowa, eastern Nebraska, southern Minnesota. Not Wisconsin's different. It's just got a different ag economy in terms of percentages. But this is what the county would lose. This is the big thing. Middleman sales, right? And we know a lot of these people. They're good guys. The middleman seed companies, the middleman chemical companies, the middleman fertilizer companies, the co-ops, whether they're small or large. Yeah. This is where the vast majority of the economic loss would come, and there would be job loss. Yeah. If you take out 10% of these sales, you're going to lose roughly 10% of the employees. I don't believe that those companies have so much bloat just sitting around. I don't think our local co-ops are just like so flush with cash,
right.
That they would just hold all their employees. So it'd literally be about $11 million per county per year that we would be losing.
Wow.
Yep. Grain handling, elevator throughput, which would be more of a co-op thing, but the money the co-ops make based on holding on to stuff or the shuffling, the actual like trucking cost of getting it. And then the cash rent difference would be substantial, mostly today and mostly in prime acres, right? Where people are getting $325 an acre, and CRP is going to pay them $240 or something of the sort, right? So the total economic reduction is about $15 to $20 million per county per year. That is a heavy average. You got to weight that for how many people, what percentage you have of ag land, stuff like that. Here's what it gains. This is pretty tough to speculate on, but higher commodity prices. It's not a one for one. We've talked about this. If you have a 10% shortage on commodities, it's not that all the corn is 10% more expensive. It's if you run into that shortage, it might be 50% more expensive. And so that was
short supply is short supply.
Yes.
And people pay whatever it takes if they want it bad enough.
Exactly. And the Institute of Ag and Economy Policy, I believe it was, said that they believe on average year over year, corn would cost $1 more a bushel, which is a lot of money.
Not nothing.
I mean, it's like a 15% increase. And that increase should go directly to the farmer's pocket. So that's immediately, so that's not like, oh, we get 25% more in your bank account. No, that would probably literally double what farmers end up getting in their bank account. The hunting and recreation, it depends on location, but I don't know if you know this, whitetail deer is a multiple $1 billion industry every year. Yeah. I did not know that until looking at this.
Yep.
So especially where there's whitetail deer, that pays a lot higher than
I think the whole
pheasants.
hunting industry is somewhere around, and maybe it's hunting and fishing, but I think it's just hunting is somewhere around $1 trillion. I mean, not quite, but close to $1 trillion industry. Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, and you have to think about the vast amount of money that's poured into recreational property. What would otherwise be, maybe $2,000 land,
pasture land,
going
range land.
going for $7,000, $8,000, $10,000 per acre, which people are then paying property taxes on, higher property taxes on.
At Hoxie Native Seeds, our mission is to provide native seed and education for landowners and land managers that care about their ground. So the education, we're doing that through the podcast and interviewing experts and the stuff we put out through our website. But the native seed that we provide, whether we grew it or we work with other producers that grew it, we are here to provide that for you. It's what keeps the lights on for us, and it's what we love to do. Most of our seeds grown right here on our farm, HoxieNativeSeeds.com. Oh, and if you need a little help with consultation, not sure what to put on your ground, we would be happy to help you with that as well. Give us a call, HoxieNativeSeeds.com. So I did the math based on previous numbers when we had way more set-aside acres, but you got to remember a lot of those set-aside acres were brome. So you can't just say, okay, well, there's double the amount of habitat, so we're going to have double the hunters, right? So I went with roughly how many hunters were there as a percentage of population back when there would have been roughly the same amount of acreages. And
that seems like I'm gonna be a little picky on that. That seems like a very reasonable thing to do for somebody who doesn't hunt.
Yeah,
because it just makes sense. However, previous generations hunted more than current generations, and a lot of that had to do with and what would have during the set aside era, it would have included World War II vets.
Yeah,
that was like the most populous generation of hunters, and it's gone down steadily with like a bump in 2020 when everybody had more time on their hands, right? That has been on the decline. And
so I did think about that. I didn't know how to quantify it. I came up with dollar for dollar, too high a number, I'm pretty sure. $3 million more if 10% of the new habitat got leased. It'd be $3 million more to the local hunting industry per acre. I'm pretty sure that's way too high. Let's say it's $100,000 more per county. That's not nothing. That's going directly to some person's pocket, and
right.
You know what I mean? And so, and that, fun fact, did not include leases. That was just what is spent locally on recreational hunting and fishing.
Okay.
Yeah. And so that number with the leases, I came up with about $1 million. I still think that's way too high. Again, if we guessed $100,000 to $200,000 per county. Now
per acre of habitat?
No. Per county. County. So a county as a whole. But if you think about it, between those two things, you've got $200,000 to $500,000. That's 7 full-time jobs of people in the county. I know that sounds silly, but that's probably roughly the amount of jobs that you're losing in middlemen at the co-op, and so reduced farm operating losses and stress, not quantified at all, but less work means that you don't need as much money to spend and less work. And then the CRP or set aside rental payments at just $150 to $225 per acre would be between $3 and $6 million for the county per year. And that the high commodity prices obviously are the biggest chunk of this, but you're talking about $30 million for the county, which, and I don't know, you guys can judge me on it. I tried to round down. I tried to be as accurate and actually pulled numbers from what expert economists actually did digging and research on. It actually outweighs the loss of ground. But not only that, what isn't implemented in here is that you would be the ground you'd be losing would be your least productive ground.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you're not losing 10% of your production. You're losing just 10% of the ground. You're probably hardly losing 5% of your production.
Yeah.
Now, something that is really important to bring up is that this has been brought up. Like, hey, we should have set aside acres for subsidies. It has been brought up. It's almost always killed by American Farm Bureau, the farm insurance lobbyists, which by far the strongest is American Farm Bureau. The American government spends $65 per acre in our Midwest region on insurance, on subsidized insurance, $65. About $20 of that goes directly to the insurance companies. What I mean is it doesn't get paid out to the farmer. So a third of it gets kept by the insurance companies. And Senator Shaheen Affirm Act tried to address this several years ago. And it basically proposed a cap on where the insurance companies make most of their money is they charge administrative fees, right? This isn't going to the farmer. It's just like, well, we got to pay our secretary. To some extent, that's true. But he tried to get it capped at the low dollar amount of $900 million per company. He tried to get it capped at $900 million. And that got killed immediately by crop insurance lobbyists.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that was my attempt of a breakdown of what would actually happen in your county. The biggest gain there would definitely be an increase in dollars per bushel, and the biggest loss would be there's a kid I used to have at youth group that just got a job at a local co-op, and he loves being an ag. He doesn't have a farm to farm, so this is his chance to be an ag, and there's a good chance he'd be lower on the totem pole, and him, not necessarily him, but people in his status, a bunch of them would lose their jobs. And so those are kind of the things we have to weigh. But you know what I didn't put in there on purpose? I feel like it maths out before you put water quality in there, before you put higher numbers of wildlife.
Well, and also how many people does the economy pick up because people want to live here more? I know multiple people who have moved from way out of state to Iowa simply because of deer hunting opportunity.
Yeah.
And if you had better hunting opportunities, you would only see more of that. I am confident. So, and we saw firsthand at the Iowa Sportsman's Club banquet this year, the governor's tag, which allows for whoever possesses that tag to skip the wait on, if you're a non-resident, applying for a non-resident archery tag here in Iowa. As long as you bid enough money, and the money goes to a conservation effort. This year went to funding Iowa Sportsman's Club. I believe the winning bid for that one tag. Now remember, this isn't a guaranteed. You're guaranteed to get an animal, let alone a trophy class animal. This is just for the opportunity to come and get one with your bow. And that tag auctioned off at, I believe it was $43,500. So that's the evidence of what people would be willing to reward Iowa with, funds wise, if there was more habitat to be held.
Yeah.
And, as things sit, I am definitely not in favor of non-resident landowners in the state being able to, and I know this is going to tick some people off, but it's my state, not yours. And I'm not in favor of them having a guaranteed archery tag because they own land here.
That's not the case right now, is it?
Right.
You have to live here. Yeah.
Yeah. And but maybe if there was so much more habitat, then maybe that would start to make sense because the deer herd could handle it better. Because even though we do have a very high quality deer herd here in Iowa, we have one of the smallest deer herds in the Midwest.
Wow.
And because of our lack of habitat. Yeah. And so
I did not know that.
But also there's the problem of when non-resident landowners can have a guaranteed tag. Now all the residents who want to be landowners have
to pay twice as much for land.
Way more and way deeper pockets to compete with that. So that'd be the other reason why I still wouldn't be in favor for that, but it would make more sense at least.
Or what if there was a compromise where it's like you get double the points? It's not guaranteed, but you maybe get
or
instead
after
of 7 years.
I heard one guy suggest maybe after you hit a certain age where you're not guaranteed tomorrow, let alone 4 years from now. You know, like if you're a 80-year-old or 70-year-old or something like that.
Yeah, then you get one every other year or something. Yeah, because I mean the people who have the deep pockets to pay a bunch for land. Oh, that was another loss that I was talking about. Is not cash flow at all, so it would not affect your day to day. But it would affect land values that they I don't remember. I literally have a list of like 40 sources here. One of them said they thought it was about 30% land value depreciation.
Sure. Yeah, that would be another thing to consider. But also we're talking of this in the context of deer, pheasants, turkey being the big driver, right? Yeah. But one of the things we hear people who enjoy listening to this podcast, and I think the three of us feel the same way. We would love for there to be a day when elk and bison are back free ranging on Iowa's landscape. The only way you're ever going to have that is with more habitat, significantly more habitat. And then if those populations are healthy enough, now you're talking about appealing to whole new industries of recreation for people to enjoy here in Iowa. And again, generates more financial reward.
I think the way that makes the most sense is by establishing corridors. I'm not going to claim
it has to make sense. Yeah,
I don't claim to take credit at all. I heard someone talk about it.
What is that?
Establishing habitat corridors,
like connecting.
Oh, like Neil Smith or some sort of official. You're not going to rip this up.
You can't just have 10% more habitat on the landscape and it's all checkerboard and it doesn't flow together.
Like, can we somehow set aside, let's say,
like Ringgold County, which is
on each side of this river up, 30, 40 miles. It's got to be enough connected habitat. Elk would be easier to reestablish in that way, but
we already have. Our buddy Jace said, we get around 30 reported elk every year in Iowa. Mm-hmm. So there are already some of that going on naturally.
Iowa's habitat degraded to 6% of what it used to be, if you include forest and prairie, and it's still where elk want to be. You know what I mean? Imagine if it was at 30%.
I was turkey hunting with a really good friend of mine who's from Nebraska, the Sandhills of Nebraska, and he's like, man, all I've known of Iowa is Interstate 80 and coming down into southern Iowa. This place is beautiful. There's way more timber than I realized. The hills are rolling, so we have a lot of the foundation there for a better web of that. But we just need simply more acres of it and more acres in the right places.
Have you seen what the internet thinks of I-80?
No.
Oh, dude.
It's not good.
I'm sure it's not good.
No, and it's not just Iowa. Like, they're like, it is the greatest hellscape you've ever been on. Because, I mean, it makes sense. It's through some of the flattest part of the United States. Yeah. And of course, if you're building a road, you pick the flattest areas you can. Yep. Well, I-80 is one of the only major interstates where they were able to. Oh, and I-35, of course, the other one that goes through Iowa, where they were like, oh, this basically is flat all the way across. And so that whole interstate is as flat as could be. And you know what else is really great for flat? Commodity farming. So on all sides of I-80 and every as far as you can go. And I've driven I-80 from Chicago all the way to California.
Wow.
I've gone all the way down in one stretch. It is a hellscape. It is terrible.
Which stretch is the worst?
Eastern Nebraska. It gets better. Western Nebraska and in Colorado is somewhat better. Iowa's pretty bad. Western Iowa's I mean, all of Iowa is pretty terrible. Illinois wasn't great.
I think the stretch through Illinois is much harder than Iowa or Nebraska.
Well, Illinois doesn't have as nice a gas stations. Iowa's economies live and breathe on gas stations, so there's a little more effort put into them.
That's a good point. Once you get into the land of big market gas stations like BP, Shell. Oh man, if you got to take a dump at a Shell, you need to get your will in order before you do that.
Reevaluate your priorities in life.
Yeah, dude. At that point, just pay for a daily pass to Chuck E. Cheese and go in there.
At that point, you just start considering adult diapers.
Well, if I put 6 of my daughter's diapers together, they might. Man, that devolved really quick from like speculative economics to.
I feel so sleepy though. We got to go burn something.
We got to go burn a field. You're not allowed to sleep. Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget, we've got a forum. We are just go. theprairiefarm.com will take you straight to the forum. I think you can be on the forum and engage without having an account, or you can have an account to have your name attached to it. And we as a team just made our accounts and started doing stuff with it.
I still got to make mine.
So,
but I think Nick's going to do a little bit of a deep dive on the forum on the Flush podcast, which we're recording.
Yeah,
this
absolutely.
Week, so.
There's an intimate reason that we are doing the forum for Prairie as a whole, and basically it has to do with like when you Google stuff, it sucks. Like it's not good. And most of the good information.
When he says Google stuff, he's meaning on prairie maintenance.
Yes.
Management.
Yep. And I mean, there's really great websites out there, and Google just doesn't always pick them up. So that was part of our goal. So the more of us that are talking about Prairie on the Prairie Farm Forum, the more Google's going to pick it up, and people are going to get really good information on it. Tabitha Panis, she's previously the president of IPN. She's working on content right now to get up there. And we've talked to a bunch of other people that you will start to see on the forum that truly are experts, that know what they're talking about. Shout out to Luke Clark, who I just kind of gave one little mention about it, and he went up and posted something before the forum was even ready. He
nice work, Luke.
Yeah, he posted a bunch of content on grazing. So if you guys are looking for grazing,
awesome.
So we appreciate y'all. Is there anything? Oh, if you're needing some native seed, now's the time, especially with CRP. It's a little wet on the ground, but we are shipping out a lot of CRP seed right now.
Yep, perfect time to plant still.
Awesome. We'll talk to you guys again next time.